Hi, hello, welcome to Fat Mascara, a podcast about beauty culture. I'm Jenn Sullivan. Most Wednesdays, I'm joined by my co-host, Jess. You know her, Jessica Matlin. Some Wednesdays, I'm here with Garrett Muntz or Julie Wilson. And on Fridays, today, we always have an interview with a beauty insider. Before we get to that, I want to welcome new listeners. Hi, everyone. Feel free, by the way, to come up with a name for yourselves. I was just thinking about this. You used to call yourselves, or we called you the fam, like Fat Mascara fam. But then someone just came up to me on the street. This was last week, a listener. Thank you for listening. And she was like, do you think we can be the fatties? Like she liked the name fatties for the audience. I was like, absolutely. I thoroughly love this. But it's not for me to start using that. So it's for you all to start using in the comments and reviews. And when you talk about the show, the audience can give itself whatever name it likes. But fatty, I love. So on that note, loving the show. If you like what you hear, please follow us on Spotify or Apple and leave us reviews or comments, which help us reach a larger audience. Okay, on to, I have some reviews and comments, but I'm going to save them for Wednesday. For now, let's get on to the main event. Today, I am joined by content creator Emelia O'Toole. She's known as Professor Perfume on TikTok and Instagram, where she has a cross-platform audience of more than 300,000. Emelia has a certificate in advanced perfumery from Pratt School of Continuing and Professional Studies. She herself is not a perfumer, but rather a perfume educator. And yes, a one-time professor, but in English literature. I'm going to let her explain all of that, and we're going to talk about perfume and really dig into the idea of nostalgia, which has been on my mind lately, and I've seen it rising in the zeitgeist, just this feeling of wanting to go back to a different time, a longing, if you will. And I think that plays really well into perfumery, so we're going to chat about that, and you'll get to know Emelia a little bit better. So let's just get into it. Hey, Emelia, welcome to Fat Mascara. Hi.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Or should I call you Professor?
Whatever you like. You can call me whatever you want, sweetheart.
So where are you right now? Where are you calling our studio from?
I am based in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Yes, but we met, I gave people a little background in the intro, but we met in Paris on a fragrance whirlwind, hit it off. And I can't wait to talk to you about everything. But I know people are going to be like, wait, why is she calling her Professor? That is obviously your handle.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So my real name is Emelia, but I do moonlight as Professor Perfume in the city of Gotham. So
and also on the TikToks and also on the Instagram.
And Instagram. Yeah.
How did you get to this place that you're a full-time content creator in the fragrance industry, yet I know you have a master's in literature. Like, what? Connect that for us.
Well, it was a total whirlwind. It was a complete 180. So my background, my undergrad and my master's is literature. I moved to Ireland to do my master's degree in Irish literature, and I was planning to stay on and do my PhD and become the world's leading scholar in Dracula. That was like my dream that I had for myself. But during COVID, the world fell apart a bit, and I got into perfume sampling as a hobby, and I really liked it. I really fell in love with it. I loved the creative. I loved the storytelling. I loved the power that it had to bring you. It's transportative, right? So fell in love with it. At the same time, I started teaching an English course after I had finished my master's degree, and I realized I didn't like teaching.
Says the professor. Says the woman who calls herself professor.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't like it. I like the learning. I like the teaching. I loved the students. But I just felt like I had maybe wasted a lot of my time preparing for something that I just didn't love. At the same time, I had started a TikTok account based on just kind of everything. It was really more of a lifestyle account when I first started out. And I posted a couple videos about perfume sampler sets, and those really took off. And I was like, well, why don't I just pivot my entire life into fragrance and see what happens?
So was there like so in birding, I'm a birder. I feel like we talked about this. There's like a thing called a spark bird, right? Mm-hmm. That like ignites your passion for that world. Was there a spark perfume for you during this whole sampling phenomenon? What
Absolutely.
is it? She's nodding. Tell me everything.
Yeah. So I I fell in love first with the Maison Margiela replica Discovery set. I just loved that they were like, this is where we're taking you to this exact moment. There's a time and place. There's a city and a year. I loved that. I thought it was so cool. And then when you smelled them, you were like, oh, I can totally see that. But the one that really, really got me was Gucci Memoir in the green bottle with the gold cap. And it's because Harry Styles was the front man of the ad campaign.
And you're a big Harry Styles fan?
I love Harry. I was a big 1D child. Yes, I was a huge fan of One Direction. Like floor-to-ceiling posters. I had a fan account. I was on Instagram posting all the time. I was like writing fan fiction about these boys. Like it was crazy. I was a huge, huge fangirl. Still am, to my core. So I saw Harry Styles was the front man of this ad campaign, bought the bottle faster than I could blink, smelled it, and I was like, what's going on here? Something's changing within me. So something
what does
is not
Memoir
the same.
smell like? Like, what's the vibe?
Well, it's different than, it's like a chamomile sandalwood situation. It's kind of like got a dry tea thing going.
Okay.
I think it's different than all of the other perfumes that I had encountered. Because, you know, when you go to a Macy's or a Sephora, where I live is like the only place you can go to try fragrance. And when I was living in Dublin, I would go to the Brown Thomas perfume section. They've got Byredo, Jo Malone, Diptyque. They've got all of those. So I think with Memoir, I just loved the creative vision of it so much. So I just dove in.
I feel like when you say dry tea and that, I'm like, it feels like a library scent. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like libraries have the best smell, don't they?
They do. Yeah, that smell of like old paper.
Yes.
Oh, I just love it.
Not to like if this is a sore point, but like you did spend a lot of time studying Dracula and literature.
I did.
Do you see similarities between the study of literature and the study of perfume?
Oh, absolutely.
How
Yeah,
so?
I've found a lot of overlap between it because to my core, I am a nerd, honestly.
Mhm.
Like I love old books. I love being in libraries. I love being in the academic setting. But for me, so much of what I love about literature is how it envelops you and it draws you in and it brings you into an entirely new world. You can just escape. When you need a break from the world that we're living in right now, which we do a lot, you go read a book, right? You go sit in your corner and you read a book. But I found that with fragrance, it's a lot the same. It's a world in and of its own, just sitting on your vanity. And there's so much artistry and craftsmanship that goes into it before they even start the marketing and the copywriting. It's a whole
Also
universe.
storytelling.
Yeah, it's just a whole universe.
Wait, what was the last book you escaped with?
I am currently so excited. I'm halfway into Intermezzo by Sally Rooney.
Okay, it's on my Goodreads. It's up next.
I'm dying. I love her so much because she also went to Trinity, which is where I did my master's.
Okay.
So I was at Trinity when Normal People, the TV show, came out.
Oh, wow.
And of course,
Yeah.
I had read the book. I had devoured the book in like one evening. So there was all of this hype. It was unreal.
That's the best when you have a book and you're like, they're writing this for me. Like you feel like the author and you are in simpatico.
There are some sentences that woman can write that I'm like, I think she actually just plucked that from my soul. I think something's fishy going on here.
So you're reading Intermezzo right now.
Mhm.
What if we had to assign a perfume to it, which is I know something you do sometimes on your social media. Like, have you even thought about this yet? Like a perfume that makes you feel like that book?
Well, there's a couple different characters. And I feel like there's two brothers. I feel like the younger brother is definitely something like Dior Sauvage, Armani. He doesn't have his bearings yet. He's really into chess, is the other thing.
Okay.
But I feel like overarchingly, Mind Games. Have you tried that brand? They're all based on chess.
Oh, seriously?
Yes. So the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, this is so Mind Games coded. It's just about chess. But I'm like,
what does a perfume based on chess feel like?
they have all of the different pieces that
Oh,
are
like
all the
there's a
different
rook?
fragrances. Yes, yeah.
And
There's yeah, so
interesting.
I'm not sure how many fragrances they have, but they're all inspired by chess or like moves that you can do in chess.
Okay, so that brother he's going to have
So he's
that on
definitely going to
yeah.
he's going to graduate from his
Sauvage.
Sauvage to a
No
mind
offense to
games.
Sauvage, a
No
lovely scent.
offense, no offense.
Yes.
But yeah, mind games just keeps coming to my head when I'm reading the book because the fragrances are absolutely gorgeous as well.
Oh, I love how creative people are. There's no dearth of stories in fragrance because every time you think you've seen it, then there's a brand that takes extinct animals and makes perfumes out of them.
Yep. Yeah.
Which exists. And also chess. Who knew?
Chess. Yeah, there's chess. There's Clue. If you really like the board game Clue, there's now Clue Perfumery. And
wait, seriously?
Yes, and I
like
highly
a licensee.
recommend.
Is it a licensee of Clue though? Like, do you think like the whatever Mattel or whoever makes Clue, or just
no? It's more of an abstract concept of a thing, but there's a fragrance called With the Candlestick.
That's such a good name.
It is. And there's another one called Warm Bulb. The branding for Clue Perfumery is absolutely incredible. And they've got a mushroom fragrance called Moral Map.
Oh.
And it's one of the most interesting fragrances I've smelled in a long time.
That's so funny. I don't think we could talk about it yet, but when we were in France, we both got a preview of a mushroom fragrance. Mm-hmm. And I was intrigued.
Yes.
That forest floor, that damp yum. Not yum. Yum's the wrong word.
I think mushroom is going to be a very interesting note to watch in the coming, just because I think it's going to be not used as a substitute, but used as an alternative to patchouli, because people are so picky about patchouli, but it still gives that dank, almost green earth quality to it without being so sharp.
It also feels a little counterculture in a good way.
Yes. Oh, well, yeah, Boho Boko just did magic mushrooms, which smelled like mushroom soup.
And that's the same guy that did the potato one I was just talking about on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. He just, what was it? Polish potatoes he just did?
Yeah.
I haven't smelled that one.
I haven't either, but the notes in it, I was like, I already love it. I can just tell. I love anything that smells like dirt, basically.
Yeah.
As I think about like literature and perfume, this topic kept coming up in my mind that I wanted to run by you because it's been popping up on Fat Mascara again and again with guests. It's the whole sense of nostalgia that people seem to be like really, it's in the zeitgeist right now, which is silly because nostalgia is always a thing. You know how trends sort of get their legs on TikTok and then spill over into the real world? And I keep seeing like, I was talking to my social media manager about this. She said Twilight books are huge on TikTok. And like there's this whole longing for these worlds that a lot of people, so that age group, would remember from their youth. I was already an adult when they came out. But in the English literature sense of the word, or even Irish literature sense of the word, what does nostalgia mean to you?
I think to me, it's a yearning and a longing for something you can never have again.
Yeah, you can't have it. Yeah.
But you want it so badly. And you would give anything just to go back to this one place in time, because in your head, your memory, you are your own unreliable narrator, right? So in your head, you've conflated memory with nostalgia. So memory would be something that happened. It's undebatable. It's a fact. This is done and this is over. But nostalgia comes in and it says, oh, maybe it was a little bit more shiny than we remember it. Maybe it was a little bit more flowery than we remember it to be. And then as time keeps going on and on and on, suddenly everything in your past is this romanticized, idealized version of itself. And that's why it's so hard to let go of things.
There's something about just the pleasure of that feeling. It's like ugly crying.
Well, we love to sit and wallow, don't we? We love to sit and wallow.
Wallowing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love to yearn. It's like my favorite hobby is to sit and stare out the window and yearn.
Do you think, because I think that perfume can do that. Do you think with the way perfumes are made today, we can evoke that strong of a feeling? Because that's a strong feeling. That's not just like, I feel energized or cheerful. It's like a sad feeling in a way. A sad, happy feeling.
It's like a bittersweet kind of feeling. And I think scent, Well, scent is so powerful because there's no filter between your nose and your brain, right? So we've all had it. You walk by someone, they're wearing the same fragrance that an ex used to wear, or that your grandma used to wear, your mom used to wear, and you're suddenly, immediately right back there again. You're hugging your grandma, you're fighting with your ex-boyfriend, you can't, it's like you physically can't escape it, because
Yeah.
it's like our scent memory is so, so strong. And I think that's why fragrance is so nostalgic and it does pull on our heartstrings because we all have an individual scent language within ourselves. We all learned scent and we all have this complicated and emotional map of understanding scent. Like if I showed you a rose perfume, we're both smelling rose, right?
Right.
But your relationship to rose is completely different than mine. So I could have all of these fond memories of this English tea rose lotion that my mom and my grandma used to use. But you could have, I don't know, you could have had a terrible
Musty old piano
experience.
teacher.
Yeah, musty old
No.
piano teacher, right? Yeah.
Not true, but yes.
But that would put rose in your olfactive map in your head on the negative side, whereas rose in my olfactive map is in the beautiful side. So it's really inescapable, the nostalgia of scent, because all the time we're smelling things that from the first time we smelled them, we remember it.
This makes me think of the scent, one of the scents that you created for Sniff, Wow Factor. So like wedding days are very like for a lot of people who have gotten married, there's just like, our culture puts such hype on that whole day.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it's bittersweet that you never have that day again. I feel like some people get really sad after their weddings because I remember the day after I got engaged, I like was despondent. And my, at that time, soon-to-be husband was like, talk to me. And I told him what I was feeling. And he was like, oh yeah, like existential dread. I was like, I'll never have that experience of getting asked to be married again. And it was like, I was like happy, but I couldn't stop crying about it. When you created those scents, were you pulling on your own memories for them?
Oh, absolutely. I knew that I wanted it to, it's strange to talk about scent in this way because I wanted it to convey the feeling that my husband, my now husband, gives to me. Like the feeling of this all-encompassing, curious, wonderful love, right? And so I'm like, how do I translate that into a perfume? And
Tell us.
What do I do?
She's like, it's a rhetorical question. I don't know if I've succeeded. No, tell us about the scent.
For me, it was a lot of...
And you worked with a perfumer to do this,
yes,
obviously.
Yeah. We worked with...
So you played creative director in a way.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I love the perfumer that we worked with. It's the same perfumer on Wow Factor and Honey Sweet. Her name is Mathilde Bijoui. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher her last name because she's French and I famously can't say a word in French to save my life.
Welcome, you're part of the fam. We butcher French all the time on this podcast.
But she gets it. She gets me. We work really well together. But my inspiration for Wow Factor was I wanted it to feel like a wedding in the secret garden. And I wanted it to feel like this private sort of return to when weddings weren't so much the thing as like tying your souls together.
Yeah.
So I wanted it to feel like this sort of, I don't know, ancient ritual of bonding your souls together outside underneath a charmed magical willow tree or something. I'm
picturing a sundial nearby or maybe one of those like crystal balls from the Victorian era that like is in a garden. Yes. Because I have smelled the scent and it is very secret garden.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted it to feel green, earthy. I always knew that I wanted to wear a
ivy covered walls. This isn't like hibiscus-y tropical flower. This is
this is very green. This is the whole garden. So you get the wood and you get the dirt and you get the grass and you get the dew. You get all of it.
Yeah. Is honey sweet for like a honeymoon? Like Wow Factor's clearly vows.
Yes.
What's the story with honey sweet?
Wow Factor was for the wedding. And then Sniff approached me again and they were like, do you want to do something next? And I was like, yeah, why not? And what comes naturally after the wedding is the honeymoon. So we thought, okay, why not just take this as an inspiration and sort of run with it? Mind you, I don't even have a honeymoon planned yet. So this is more
Wait,
abstract.
when did you get married? Did you get married?
Yeah, we just had our wedding in June. So this was a little bit more of an abstract concept of what I think I would like for a honeymoon. And also more of like, I think, so with Vow Factor, I was so certain of what I wanted. And I was so dead set on having a couple notes and a couple, like an accord. You know, I knew I wanted it to be forest, fairy, garden. With Honey Sweet, I was like, why don't we just try about 6 or 7 different things and then I'll see what sticks and we'll work it from there.
And I'll start booking my travel
And I'll start booking my yeah. Yeah, it was more of like I had a concept of like the honeymoon suite in a nice hotel.
Okay.
Where it's all inclusive. You never have to leave. Everything gets delivered to you.
The sheets are perfect. It's on a silver tray, whatever you get.
Yeah,
yes.
You get chocolate-covered strawberries and champagne on arrival, and everything is beautiful and wonderful. And then the other concept I had was this literal, well, why do we call it a honeymoon? You're literally going to a new planet with the person that you love. You're going to the moon. Nobody else is
that
invited.
Why we called it? I never thought about this. Why do we call it
I don't know. I just made this up in my head. But but I was like, why don't we just make a fragrance that smells like you moved to a new planet with the love of your life? And, you know, because that's how after the wedding feels, right? You have the rest of your lives together.
Well, you're also in this bubble of like, for a little bit before you re-enter real society as a couple. Like
yeah, so like the honeymoon phase, right?
You know how annoying people are right after or right when they get
God.
Like, it's like all they want to do is be with each other and you're just like, ugh.
Yeah,
but
been
also,
there. Yeah, love that for you. But do we all have to be here for it? No, exactly. So that was why I was like, with the honeymoon, with Honey Sweet, I wanted to make something that felt romantic and flirtatious and butterflies and fun. So we had a little bit more of a sweet tooth in the Honey Sweet.
Yeah, I've smelled it. It reminded me of like tea time, like fancy tea time, like crumpets.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
We had one of my inspirations was afternoon tea. Because you know, at all these fancy, yes, at all of these fancy hotels, you can do the afternoon tea with like the 3 tiers of finger sandwiches and nonstop cakes and all the tea you can drink. So I love that spread. So I wanted to definitely put that. This is essentially my love letter to fancy hotels around the world that I've stayed with my husband at.
Man, so are you going to do a honeymoon?
We think so. We have no idea what we want to do yet or where we want to go. We're both very curious and we both travel a lot.
What if it's like camping in the Grand Canyon? This is not going to track.
He's lost me there because you lost me at camping.
Okay, not your vibe. Got it.
I like a hotel. I am a hotel person. Yeah, but we don't know what we want to do yet, but we both love to travel. So I think we'll probably end up going somewhere that we would never go otherwise.
Right.
Somewhere far, like Bali or Japan or something. I don't know. We want to do something special.
You know how in other languages there's such good words for these kind of feelings like nostalgia? Mm-hmm. In German, there's Sehnsucht, which is, it's longing. So it's like, if you translated nostalgia, that I guess maybe would be the word you would use, but it's different because it says that it's like the feeling is better than the thing. It's like a future nostalgia, like when it actually happens, like the yearning of it was more emotional and better than the thing itself could ever be, which I feel like also plays into the whole love story of like, a wedding and a honeymoon. And it's like this romanticized notion that you yourself are like, can I live up to this notion I've created in my head?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, what a feeling. It's a cool, I like the feeling. It's like all encompassing, right?
Yeah, because you're like, what if? And then you get there and you're like, oh. And then you kind of almost forget to experience it in the moment because you're trying so hard to like have a good time.
Oh, did you ever read the Berenstain Bears when you were little?
Yes.
Okay, there was one about Lisa, I think was her name, the bear. And she has a birthday party and it's called Too Much Birthday. And when the cake comes, with her, like she makes it into this whole big thing and then she just like bursts out crying when the cake comes. I feel like it got stuck in my head because I'm always like, I'm never going to hype anything up. I don't want to have a party because like it'll never live up to
It's too much birthday.
It's too much
It's
birthday.
too much birthday.
Sometimes I'm like, it's too much birthday. Like, and I just know I can't put it in words, but that is what it means to me. And I feel like some scents are, like there's certain scents that I'm like, if I ever went to a place that actually smelled like that, I would explode because it's just too good.
Oh,
you know?
for sure. Yeah.
Conversely, though, if you think about the past, you and I met on this Cody trip and we saw fragrances from like 120 years ago. Did you get to smell any of those really old ones?
Yes. And I was having a spiritual experience.
What? Okay, tell me what you were thinking when you said, like, there was Ombre Antique, there was L'Oregon, there were these like early 20th century kind of amber scents. Those are the ones I'm thinking about right now. Mm-hmm. What was your spiritual experience?
I just think it was so cool to be that close to perfume history, just because the fragrance industry as we know it today exists so largely because of the Cody legacy. So getting to smell a reproduction of Le Rose Jacqueminot, which is like the one that launched his career into perfumery, it was like, me? What am I doing here? But it was just cool to see how much fragrance has changed at the same time how much it hasn't.
Yeah. I just kept thinking, it gave me that sense of like, this can never be again. Like, I know they've recreated some of them, but those old perfumes, if there's a little bit left in the vial that you get the chance to smell, that world that it was created in is no more. There's even aroma chemicals in there that are literally no more. Like, modern technology is not allowed to use some of them. And also, a rose growing in 1900 clearly was going to smell different than a rose now because the world was a different place.
Yeah.
It makes me think like, this is a little time capsule in a way.
Yeah, it really is. There was a suitcase, a briefcase on the Titanic that got excavated from the Titanic, and inside of it there was a vial of fragrances. They were like perfectly intact because it was actually the perfect location to store fragrances in a cool, dark place. Yes. So when they took them out, they were just like perfectly preserved.
Did somebody open them?
I can't remember if they opened them or not.
Because in the minute you open them, it's like...
That is a time capsule. You're on the Titanic.
Yes. How cool would that be, though, to be the person who gets to, like, open it and smell it? But even if you don't open it, just looking at those, like, somebody was holding those 100 years ago, 120 now.
I don't know. When I think about fragrances that have had that sort of everlasting effect, like Shalimar and Miss Dior and Chanel No. 5, when you think about these fragrances, of course, the one in the bottle that we have today is not the same as the first iteration of the one that came out. It does feel cool to feel that close to a history of something.
If I said, okay, so nostalgia for you, what are the smells, even if it's not a perfume, what are the aromas that give you that sense of longing?
For me, a big smell in my childhood was like always the smell of coffee brewing in the morning.
Oh, okay.
My parents were big coffee people, and my mom wore the Jessica McClintock perfume for my entire childhood. So now anytime I sort of smell a dewy, white floral, jasmine tuberose type of scent, I'm like, oh, this is my mom. So
Jessica McClintock. I haven't heard that name. That was like all the like popular girls' prom dress of my era.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And the perfume, still beautiful, honestly, still beautiful to this day. But yeah, my big ones would be like the perfumes of my teenage years were like Bath and Body Works, Sweet Pea, Ed Hardy for women.
Oh my God, Ed Hardy for women. I forgot about that.
Paris Hilton perfumes were huge.
Of course.
Taylor Swift Wonderstruck, I wore all throughout high school.
It's so funny because those teenage years, they loom so large in your head, even well after, like the memories you create during that formative period of your brain. They're just so seared in. They're seared like no other time period in your life. It's so...
Yeah.
And the perfumes then are going to be just seared in your brain.
It's insane. I actually bought a bottle of Wonderstruck secondhand on eBay a couple years ago just to feel something. And I sprayed it, and I was immediately my best friend picking me up before school, blasting Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift in the car, stopping to get like a mochaccino or whatever before we went to school. I'm like, oh my God. I had braces. I had pimples.
Yeah, all of that came rushing back.
Yeah. Like, that's crazy that one whiff of something can just, because it's like reading your old diary where you suddenly start to remember the emotions that you were having, but like one whiff. Oh my God. I was like, this is actually traumatizing. But
where's the Wanderstruck now?
Oh, I still have it. I have a little shelf of all my little celebrity perfumes. I bought all of the One Direction perfumes as well, and all of the Justin Bieber perfumes. So I have a little shrine to all of the perfumes that I used to wear when I was growing up.
I didn't even know there were One Direction perfumes.
There were 4 One Direction perfumes.
What? Who made them? How did I not? This escaped my notice.
I can't remember who made them. I think they're...
How many people? No, there were 5 people in One Direction.
Yes, there were 5, and then Zayn left.
So Zayn, in my head, each of them gets a perfume, and he didn't. But that's not how it worked.
No, I think they all came out before Zayn left. So they had our moment, that moment, Between Us, and a 4th one that I'm forgetting.
I'm impressed you got the first 3.
When I tell you I was a fangirl to my core.
No, since you...
Oh my God.
I'm experiencing that, yes.
Yes.
I'm curious, now that you've shifted your area of expertise, you've studied fragrance, I know you took courses in it, you've now gotten to meet all these amazing perfumers, travel with some of these fragrance brands to places, to experiencing things. What has surprised you the most about like the industry? Now that you are on the other side a little bit and know how it works, as a layperson, what didn't you know that you really like sharing with people? Like, no, this is the truth about the fragrance industry.
When you buy a bottle of perfume, probably 500 people have worked on it to get it into that box, into that bottle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The teams are so big. It goes so far and beyond. And nobody really thinks about it. Because, I mean, when I used to pick up and put on my perfume, I was like, okay, it's on, whatever, back in the drawer, don't care about it. But from the design of the bottle, to the design of the fragrance, to the copywriting, to the box design, to the packaging, to everything, there have been and I mean, this is true of any industry, right? But there have been so many finishing touches and edits and go backs and no, we can't have that. I mean, from just taking something like Wow Factor, from an idea to a bottle, took over a year.
And a lot of people.
Over a year, a lot of people, and a lot of different changes that we made. So I also like to tell people about the modification process, because it's like what you smell, there have been 500 different versions of it. Do you know what I mean? Like the one that came to you has been hand selected by fragrance experts to be the one that you will like the most.
When you're a creative director and you're like a client working with a fragrance house, you mean?
Oh, yeah. And like when you...
Okay. Not a consumer.
Oh, yes, as a consumer. So say there's this. There were, I want to say, like 50 different modifications of
when it was already like, we have the basic structure in place. We kind of know what accords we're working with.
Yes.
But there would still be 50 versions of it.
Yeah.
Did it come down to, like, these two smell the same to you? And you were like, I don't know.
It sort of came down to I think 3 in the end that I thought were all really beautiful. And at that point, it's kind of like choosing a favorite child. And with Honey Sweet, it was a lot the same too, because with Wow Factor, the mods weren't as different. But with Honey Sweet, they were like, one was over here, one was over there.
Even with the same creative brief and the same basic concepts. And they were still, like, we're never going to run out of perfumes. Do we need another moisturizer SKU? I can sometimes argue no. But I can always make room for, like, another piece of wearable art.
And of course. And you think about, I mean, the Perfumer's Organ has they have like 3,000 ingredients. So you would think by now.
No, but they're inventing new ones. We just learned about one.
But they're all different.
Yeah, that's infinite number of combinations.
Yeah,
clearly.
and even in the perfume formula, even if you had like a rose, patchouli, cedar.
Yeah.
The percentages are all different. The type of rose, the type of patchouli. Are you using a synthetic?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's infinite number of smells. And people are like, oh, it's another vanilla perfume, but it's not.
The people that follow you on social media, like, do they respond when you talk about this kind of thing, or what are they really responding to as far as the content that you're doing where you're like, wow, they loved that? Besides your hair.
I mean,
which we're going to get to.
Besides the hair. Yeah, they love the perfume history videos. They love Perfume 101. That's been a big series that I do on my channel, is Perfume 101. So just like little tips and tricks. I just did a video yesterday about like application tips to make your perfume last longer. They love that because you just don't think about it. Is there a right or wrong way to put perfume on?
I mean, I do. I've made a whole career writing that stuff and thinking about it. But yes. Well, I know your video on, I think it was about where to store your perfume, went super viral.
Yes. I had so many news outlets I've never heard of in Australia and Ireland.
Who were hurting for a store. No, it was because it was so popular. Yes. So tell us, what did you say in the video?
So essentially, I said, because every time I see a picture of perfume on Pinterest or on Instagram, or it's like this beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, whatever, there's always perfume on a beautiful tray on the bathroom counter. And all I did was I was like, do you see what's wrong with this photo? Do you see it? I bet you don't. But it's the fact that you're going to spoil your perfumes faster by exposing them to all of the humidity, temperature fluctuation that goes on in your bathroom. So just take them out of the bathroom, put them in a drawer.
Okay.
Put them on the dresser.
I agree. But I mean, the humidity is not really going to get into a glass bottle, is it?
It's more the temperature fluctuation.
Yeah, because like if you take a shower, the air temperature in there is going to rise like 10 degrees. That's true. Also, I don't know. They're so beautiful. I wouldn't want to keep them just in the bathroom personally.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't have to keep them in a drawer. I mean, the best place to keep them is in a cool, dry, dark place. So ideally, the closet, a cupboard, a drawer. But I know the bottles are pretty, so nobody wants to really hide them away.
You must have thousands. How do you store your fragrances?
I have a closet. I have an entire room dedicated to my fragrance collection. An entire closet full that I can close the doors on.
Real estate in Sioux Falls allows for a fragrance closet.
If you'd like to move, I've got a 3-bedroom apartment that in any other city would be making me cry.
So it gets its own room.
It gets its own room, but I also have I've got trays set up around the apartment that I switch out kind of monthly, just depending on my mood. But it's ridiculous, actually, is what it is.
Oh, I mean, I think that, like, I got a virtual tour from Mona. What's Mona's last name?
Mona Catan.
Yeah, of her fragrance. I'm calling it a museum, and it's like underground, cool, dark, everything you want, shelves and shelves. Like, it's a fragrance warehouse, and and she knows them all, and they're like alphabetical. And I was like, oh my God, dreams to play around in there for a little while with good ventilation.
It is my dream to visit that perfume room because, oh my God, she's got everything you could ever imagine in there.
She did. It was fun. Before we do our Fat Mascara 5, which I made a special one for you, I do have to ask about other beauty products because I know people are always commenting about your hair and loving your hair. So I had to ask, what's the key product these days?
Okay, well, for the last month, I have actually been using the Lola V shampoo and conditioner.
Oh, it's so good, right?
It's so good. It's amazing. And it smells so good. I don't know why people aren't talking about how good it smells.
Oh, it is a good. I have the detangler in my hair right now.
I love the detangler too.
Yeah. What is your hair texture?
I'm wavy curly. I'm like 2B, I think.
Ish. Okay, so you've been using their products. What about, I have to ask mascara. This is Fat Mascara. What do you use?
The Merit Clean Lash is my absolute favorite. For a long time, I was Lancome Idol Lash. That was my ride or die. But recently, I've switched over to Merit Clean Lash, and it is
Why do you like
incredible. Well, it's a tubing mascara,
Hmm.
but it doesn't get stuck and it doesn't smudge or anything. Because my eyelids are very close to, I always have a smudging problem. Didn't have that
top
problem.
lid transfer.
Yeah, top lid transfer.
You open your eye and that eyelid gets swept with the mascara and you get smudging.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and I have
tubing's a good
never
way to
had
go.
never had that problem with Merit. I just love them.
I feel like maybe I saw Martha Stewart applying that on I don't know, I was watching the Martha documentary and then all of a sudden my social feeds were filled with her. because you know the phone is listening.
As it does. Yeah. But it has to be used in tandem with the Shiseido eyelash curler.
Okay, so you do Shiseido eyelash curler and then the Merit mascara. Any other? Oh, I didn't ask you about candles, and that's a whole other world. Are you burning anything right now?
Oh my God. Yes. So Wow Factor comes in a candle now.
Oh, you did a candle.
It comes in a candle, and I love her. I love the perfume. Love her so bad. The candle kind of knocks it out of the park, honestly. The candle's so good.
Because sometimes, I mean, I know you had to they have to reformulate, right, for a fragrance compatible. Are any of the certain facets more played up, or why do you like it so much?
I think the fig and the ambrette are really loud in the candle. You can smell it through the box. Like it's so strong.
So ambrette is like hibiscus seed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't describe, like, how would you describe ambrette?
It's almost like a cousin of tonka. So it's got like a soft, sweet facet to it, but it's also earthy.
Because tonka, I get vanilla a little, gets a little gourmandy for me sometimes.
Yes.
Is it that?
Yeah.
Is it more earthy version of that?
So for ambrette, it's more earthy, I would say. But it still has like a little facet of sweetness to it.
Right. Okay, that sounds like a lovely candle. That sounds like
gorgeous.
When you don't feel like cleaning your house, so you light a candle.
Just light the Wow Factor candle. Yeah. Otherwise,
do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Or am I the only person that does that?
No, because if it smells good, then it's fine.
But you can't. You have to pick the right candle. It has to. You can't do like a gourmand, vanilla-y, cupcakey. You have to do a fresh.
It has to be clean,
green, dewy, smells like water. Maybe she cleaned with pine sol kind of candle.
Mm-hmm.
Not pine sol, but I do love a pine scent. Just something that'll like air out the must and the food smell.
Yeah.
You know.
Open the window, light the candle. It's clean.
Wow Factor. Okay. All right. So I don't know if you listen to the podcast often. I'm just going to pretend you listen sometimes.
I listen. I watch all your TikToks.
We do Fat Mascara 5. It's like questions about yourself. However, don't kill me. I made a special game just for you.
Okay.
I have 5 books here. I'm hoping you've read them because I picked classics, or at least you know of them. And I want to see, take your time to think about it, if you can tell us a fragrance that when I say the name of the book, this is the fragrance that comes to mind. So, are you down for this game?
Let's try it. Let's do it.
I did not prep her. Okay. Let's start with an easy one. Wuthering Heights.
Oh, Wuthering Heights was literally one of my inspirations behind Wow Factor. Like, truly. I'm not even joking.
I'll allow it. It's a bit of a cheat.
We can do a different one.
But you know what? I'm going to allow it.
Okay.
That was an easy one to start.
Okay.
Because some of these here, I was like, what was I thinking? Okay. Second, I actually looked at it. There's a list of like, not the best books of all time, but it's like the Americans' most read books, like that a lot of people have read.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was The Lord of the Rings.
Ooh, The Lord of the Rings, I would honestly say Moral Map from Clue Perfumery that we were talking about earlier is a really good one.
Totes, little hobbity hut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
When I smelled it, I was like, that's a Hobbit house.
Okay, I wanted to get Stephen King in here because I love Stephen King. So I'm going to go with Carrie.
Ooh, Carrie. I feel like, there's one from an Italian line called, it's Filippo Sorcinelli. It's called But Not Today. And it's inspired by The Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
Hannibal Lecter. So it has this weird metallic blood note in it. It feels very witchy. It feels very ominous. It's kind of spooky. I feel like that's perfect for Carrie.
Okay. Do you have, if people asked you for like a favorite book, do you have a favorite book?
Well, I mean, it really depends on, in which like category. Like my favorite classic is always going to be either like Wuthering Heights or Dracula.
Oh, I hit it with Wuthering Heights then.
Yes, I love Wuthering Heights. That's why I used it for Wow Factor.
I don't want to make these all about me and give you a chance. On this list, one of my favorites was The Grapes of Wrath. Have you read it?
Oh, yes. Oh my God, I haven't read that since high school. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Does that bring anything to mind? That's my 4th one for you.
Oh, for me, Grapes of Wrath would be Laurel Canyon from Thin Wild Mercury.
Oh, did I just smell this at there's a store in Brooklyn called Stelle or Steel or something like that?
I think they have Thin Wild Mercury there. I'm not 100% sure, but
I remember smelling something that was like a Laurel Canyon inspiration. It had that like, I don't know, those dry, arid, grassy plants that grow, in California. Okay, I like it. Well, for the last one, since this was your area of expertise, I have to go with Dracula, don't I?
I think you do.
I do. So,
Yes.
P.S., by the way, I took one literature class in all of my life, and it happened to be romantic, gothic focused. Like, that was the book that we read. So it's like literally the only book I know how to dissect that way. What do you think?
I would say Bloody Wood from Liquide Imaginaire for Dracula.
I don't know this fragrance house. I need to know more.
They are amazing. And it's like it's a wine, wood, fruity sort of scent.
Ooh.
But it's dark. It's ominous. While we're on the topic of Dracula, there is a fragrance coming out called
Nosferatu.
Yes.
From Heretic.
And I just
talked about it last week on the pod.
I bought it immediately. Didn't even think about it.
What do you think? Tell us everything.
I haven't gotten it yet, and I'm so excited.
I know. People are hyped
excited
for this.
Yeah, I can't wait. As a child, I have a Dracula poster over here that I keep looking at while we're talking about it. But I'm a huge Dracula kid. Like every movie, every film iteration of it.
Okay.
I just love it. I've read the book I don't know how many times. But like my favorite, it's going to be hard to top the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula for me though. And I know people that really love the book often don't really like that movie. But how are you going to look at the costumes and tell me you didn't like it?
That alone will do. Yeah. Oh, I need to revisit that. I don't know that have I seen that movie? I mean, it's just one of those characters and stories that is so ingrained in so many people's cultural touchstones and like worlds that, first of all, the balls to do a fragrance inspired by it is like amazing to me. But also, I don't know, for me, I want it to smell like whetstone. You know, when you're in a castle and it like that smell that's like cold and wet. And
it smells haunted. Yes.
It gives you a chill, but in like a good way.
Yes.
I want to chill in a good way, personally.
Yeah. I want to spray it on and feel like there's a count lurking somewhere.
She's married, counts. Chill out.
I'm married. Dracula, relax. That hasn't stopped him before.
Oh my God, you're so funny. You're such a like a literature geek, like a little witchy girl. I love it. This was fun. Did we do 5 books? I think we did 5 books.
I think we did.
We totally did. It was so good to like see you again and connect. Thank you for coming on Fat Mascara.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We hope you enjoyed the show.
It's your reviews and feedback that help us make the podcast even better. Head over to iTunes to rate and review us or email your thoughts to info@fatmascara.com.
We also want to answer your beauty questions and hear what products you love. To share a Razor One product review or to ask a beauty question, email us at info@fatmascara.
If you send it as a voice memo file, we can even share your voice on the podcast. You can also do that by leaving us a voice message. Our phone number in the United States is 646-481-8182.
Thanks so much for listening.